Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Justin and I'm embarking on a journey of starting my own mobile detailing business. I'm starting with the brand new 6x12 trailer, which is behind me. There's nothing in it, and the first step is I'm going to epoxy the floor, and there's a lot of mosquitoes around here. I'm going to do a full chip is what they call it. I've never done this before. As a matter of fact, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to this, but yeah, I'm pretty good at mosquitoes. Pretty good at you know, following instructions and doing things the right way. That's kind of always my goal, is to do things the right way. And anybody that knows me would tell you the same thing. They would say I'm pretty picky. Some say it like it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I wish more people were picky, but on the other hand, you know, we're all individuals, and who can judge? So, again, thank you for joining me on my channel, and if you like what you see and you'd like to see more, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Step one, taping. Actually, step one is going to be probably filling in joints, then taping. Okay, see you in a few. Okay, so first things first. Here's the trailer. Again, it's 6x12. Got it brand new. Just picked it up a couple days ago. When I say a couple, I mean 3. It does have barn doors, so that's going to allow me to get into places that I couldn't if I didn't have those. Go ahead and unlock it. So, like I said before, I'm gonna go ahead and build this out, and I'm gonna bring you guys along for the ride. And step one, we're gonna fill in the cracks, the materials and everything that I'm gonna be using. I'll show you here in just a minute. Okay, so I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. I was looking for something like tongue depressors, kind of a, I don't know, kind of a smaller stick. Couldn't find any. I have to mix this product together. I kind of like this product because it hardens so well and everything adheres to it well. So when we go to the primer coat and then we do the epoxy and everything else, I won't have to worry about this ever coming up. So I think first thing I'll do is I'll take this wonderful stir stick and break it into some pieces, and then start mixing up a batch. Okay, got my screwdriver. I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up. By the way, this is my first video, so I'm sure I'll get plenty of laughs on this, but that's okay. I'm here to learn. Alright. So, what I'm going to do is break this thing in a couple pieces. Then going to scoop out some amount. Let's call it 2 dollops. So a couple tablespoons anyways. Always make sure you shut the lid. Very important. You want it to dry out. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the hardener. So it's a cream hardener, and we're going to put maybe let's call it a 1/2 inch roughly onto that. Next thing we're going to do is I need to mix it thoroughly. So what happens is it starts having a reaction, in case you didn't know, and if you don't mix it properly, it may or may not harden properly. So it's very important that on this stage that you really take your time, mix it up well. The open time on this is not the longest, so it sets up rather quickly. So once I do have it mixed up, where I feel that it's mixed up properly, then I'm going to start applying it. It also has instructions on the can, so of course you can always reference that. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to grab my tools. Remember these? And we're going to start at the back. So I'm going to go to the back of the trailer here. Alright. Back here to the back. And we're going to start with these seams. So as you can see, we have a seam that runs all the way across here. They caulked around the sides, but the seams are just open, and that's what we're going to try to fill in, make it smooth as possible, so when we put in the epoxy, it doesn't slip into the cracks. So just looking at this is a bit higher than the other side, but not to worry, we should be able to smooth that out without a problem. Starting with this one right here. I'm going to run it across the high point like so. And don't worry if you get some on the floor, it's not a big deal to kind of wipe off. So back in this area, I'm actually going to fill in more of the area than I expected. I'll end up using this whole piece. Hopefully you can see. So I'm going to kind of put it in here like so, and pull it with my goal of, really it's going to be two things. One, if I can fill in the gap, if you can see right here, I have a gap between this piece and this piece. I'm going to try to fill in that gap while also filling in the crack or the seam that we have. There's 100 ways you can do this. I'm just showing you one way. But I'm going to put that in the corner. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull it across that seam. To get a nice flush surface, if possible. Okay, see, that's pretty good. I'll mix up some more and then continue. Okay, now I'm going to mix up some more. I already put some on the cardboard. I'm going to use a little bit less hardener. It'll give me a little bit more open time, meaning more time that I can work with it before it starts to harden. You have to make sure you mix it up really, really well. Okay. So I'm going to go with that. Alright. So I'm just going to follow the same steps. And this plastic one's working out well, so I'm going to continue using it. Same thing. just running it over that crack. It's not a perfect surface to begin with. I'm not going to sand it down. It is going to be covered in chips and epoxy, so not to worry. So I have a staple sticking up there, so I'll get that later. I'll pull it out and just cover that area again. And maybe I should start with a smaller trowel, but that's okay. We'll make it work. So we have another, so here's the next seam. So I'm gonna do just kind of the same thing. I'm gonna pull it to the high side, like so. Maybe, if it wants to cooperate. Okay. Pull enough over that it kind of fills in that gap. Again, the goal is not to get this perfect. It's just to fill in the gaps, make it waterproof. In a majority of these areas, it's going to be covered by items anyway. So. Okay, so I will continue working on this and see you in a bit. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm continuing to work on filling in all the cracks and all that good stuff with the putty. The next stage is going to be sanding and getting the floor nice and flat. After that, I'm going to have to remove all of the dust, and then we can move on to further steps, which will include, in the end, a floor that's covered in epoxy and chips and all that good stuff. Okay, so now we got the first layer of wood filler in, and I'm gonna let it set up. In the meantime, I need to grab another can of the filler just to hit some of the high points and low points. Some of the transitions were a bit much, so I'm gonna go back over those. So I'll run to the store, grab that stuff. The next step after that is going to be taping everything. So I will be taping along that line right there, and so we'll be up in this area here, and I'm also going to tape off this because I want to keep the stainless look on there, and then I'll also be taping off all these edges around the door over there, and then of course the other side. So I'm gonna run to the store, grab the stuff, and then I will finish this up. Then the next thing that I'm gonna do is taping, so we'll see you then. Okay, so and I'm gonna sound really hilarious with this. I have a face mask on. So I decided to go with some 80 grit paper. I wasn't gonna sand, but there's a couple spots I don't like, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. For that, I'm gonna use this Makita. It's a E0530. Has a little dust bag. Anyway, I'm gonna get at it. Okay, so there we have it. Got all the dust out of there. Started with vacuuming, of course, and then I came back, followed it up with blowing it out, and then I blew it out thoroughly, walls and everything else, because I'm going to put tape on. So the next step is going to be putting on tape. I know I said before that I wasn't going to sand the floor. Well, I decided to sand the floor. I didn't like the transition, so it should leave a better surface for the epoxy and polyaspartic. So all right, so let's get to it. Also, I made a change. So because I'm going to be covering the walls and I'm going to be building walls, I'm going to go ahead and tape only the floor off. In other words, let me see if I can see if I can get this to pan properly. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so rather than taping up here, I was going to do from here to here with the polyaspartic. Instead, I'm going to just do the floor, so I'm going to tape here, and then when I put up the wall, of course, it's going to cover up that seam at this point here. So that's the next step, and let's get to it. Okay, so I tried to stick some of the tape onto the wall, and what I found is that because it is porous, there's still dust kind of sitting within those pores, and it wasn't going to seal properly with the tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over it with tack cloth, and this should remove dust off the surface, off the main surface, so I can get better adhesion, and so we don't have the polyaspartic leaking through the bottom of the tape. So here we go. All right, so with tack cloth, it's really pretty basic. We'll pull this out. I'm just going to take one of the sheets, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to start wiping right along this edge, and what you'll see is, hopefully this is picking up. Yep. So what you can see is there's dust on there. So this will remove all the dust, and so I'm going to continue. Okay, so now the floor is dried thoroughly. Now it's going to be time to tape. For that, we're going to be using the frog tape, as I said earlier, and let's get at it. Okay, so we've got the tape all laid out the way I want it. See, it looks pretty straight, pretty good. Protected what I wanted to protect. And next up, primer epoxy.